Hello and welcome to Giant Mess, a super sloppy sports and entertainment podcast that's hosted by a giant mess. That's me, the real cinch Neal Lynch. I'm a former fourth-string college quarterback and mediocre middle relief pitcher who earned 2 degrees, one in film and media studies and another in communications. And I am unemployed and I don't know how to communicate, so that's a good $200,000 well spent. Now I'm a single dad, and I love to talk Giants football, Mets baseball, movies, TV, and comedy. I like to mix in some funny life stories and lessons along the way. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about Jurassic World Rebirth. Dun, dun, dun. Kind of rebirth for the franchise, for the IP. Trying to pump some new life into it. The last trilogy, Jurassic World trilogy, didn't necessarily scratch the itch. Didn't really fulfill and satiate for a lot of the fan base out there. Did Rebirth manage to reignite our passion and get us back on board? Let's discuss. We're going to review, recap, and react to ScarJo's debut in the franchise, Mahershela Ali's debut in the franchise, what worked, what didn't. We'll break it all down. Without further ado, let's get started up in here. All right, so let's just dive right on into it. The movie takes place 5 years after Jurassic World Dominion, wherein an expedition braves isolated regions near the equator to extract DNA from 3 massive prehistoric creatures for a groundbreaking medical breakthrough. Tagline on this here joint is "A new era is born." And I think a lot of people would agree with that. You know, they're trying to kickstart this thing, get it going in a fairly new direction while still paying homage to a lot of what came before it, you know. Want to make sure that we are giving our audience a level of familiarity with a little bit of a twist. And I think they did that to a certain extent, just not as much as I think people were hoping for. So this action-adventure sci-fi thriller delivers impressive visuals, thrilling dinosaur action, but ironically suffers from a familiar and somewhat underdeveloped plot and characters. It's considered entertaining by many fans and reviewers, especially for its nostalgic callbacks to the original Jurassic films and standout sequences like the T-Rex river raft scene, one of the best scenes of the year. However, the film divides opinion due to its reliance on mutant dinosaurs, cliched characters, and a script that some see as repetitive of past entries. Wow. How does one respond to those accusations? First of all, the mutant dinosaurs thing, I dig. I like. And I understand why they went that route, and I'm glad they went that route. I would have liked to see them dive a little bit deeper into that. Give us more of that. I feel like they didn't give us enough. Cliched characters, I mean, you know, we'll get into the Delgado family in a little bit. I have some thoughts about the Delgado family. And the script is seen as repetitive of past entries. I mean, when you hit on a formula that works and that is successful, mostly in the sense of the box office, right? The box office numbers for this were great, just like the box office numbers for a lot of the past entries are great. And there's a secret sauce that's not so secret, and you can see that they are trying to give you something new while also making sure that they're hitting those beats and those familiar tones and rhythms that sucked us in 1993 with the original. So it's a fine line to walk. It's challenging. It's frustrating. And the director himself, along with the visual effects, you know, the cast, the crew, they'll tell you how tough this is to pull this off. So, like I said, the box office, 41% of the box office came domestically, almost $330 million race. That means the remaining almost 59% came internationally, 473 mil, to pump out a worldwide BO of $803 million currently the fourth highest grossing box office release. It's outperforming Superman, which came out about a week later. So the power of dinosaurs compels you. You know what I'm saying? Fantastic Four First Steps came out July 25th, so that still has a couple, it's still got some legs to it. It's a couple weeks. But, I mean, we'll get to it, but it's frustrating to hear some of the quotes from the director Gareth Edwards and the direction they took, because I think they're wrong. I just think they're wrong. So let's get to director Gareth Edwards. He directed Monsters in 2010. This is a very underrated, I don't want to say low budget, but not like your big ass blockbuster monster flick, but was able to set the atmosphere and the environment that had you on edge. So he does it, that's where he set the tone in terms of being able to create the type of setting that'll get you feeling a little uneasy and intrigued. So that's where he first burst onto the scene. 6.3 out of 10 on IMDb. I gave it a 7. I had it as a high 6. So 2014's Godzilla got a 6.4 out of 10 from IMDb users. I gave it a 7, so I had a slightly higher, high 6. Rogue One, a Star Wars story. This is a weird one for me that in retrospect, I probably need to rewatch, with the release of Andor Season 2. 7.8 out of 10 from IMDb users, and I gave it a 7, like a low 7, so maybe I need to go back and rewatch that, regrade it. We're allowed to do that, folks. You're allowed to do it. Yeah, I know. There are no laws or rules that say that once you rate a movie, that's it. You can't go back and change it. You can go back. Feelings change, thoughts change, people change. 2023's The Creator. This is a movie that I really liked, way more than a lot of other people. I don't think it did crazy numbers at the box office. I was really impressed with the visual effects. IMDb users gave it a 6.7 out of 10. I gave it an 8, so it was like a high 7 for me. And I know what you're saying, dude, you rated The Creator higher than Rogue One, a Star Wars story? And it's like, yeah, I did. And then maybe I need to go back and re-rate. And then Jurassic World Rebirth is actually the lowest rated of his directorial efforts, 6 out of 10 on IMDb from IMDb users, and I gave it a 6, a low 6. I wasn't square on 6. I think 6.3, 6.4. It's like it's to me it's better than Jurassic World Dominion, better than Fallen Kingdom, maybe not as good as. No, I don't think it's as good as Jurassic World. Obviously not as good as the OG, JP1, but it's, mid-tier. Would you put it above, I don't know if I'd put it above Lost World. Would I put it above Jurassic Park 3? Maybe. That's third best, fourth best in the whole lineage. Film was shot entirely on Kodak film, a decision that director Gareth Edwards said was key to capturing the look and feel of the movies that inspired him, and I think that's a great move. I think it really comes through in the final product. I don't want to say there's a warmth to it, but you kind of do feel like you're almost transported a little bit back in time, even though it's not set in the past. Edwards saw the Mutant Dinosaur storyline as, quote, some strange version of the situation we're in as filmmakers, where we're like, how do you get people excited about this stuff again? And I understand what he's saying. Like, it's a challenge. You've been down this road before. We've been down this road how many times before? Well, 5, 6 times before. And now you're the 7th entry. Where do you go from here? It's like, can't you just take a quick look to your left and take a gander at fucking Fast and Furious? Are they really doing anything that much different from movie to movie? Not really. It's big set pieces, insanity, bananas. It went off the rails. I want to say in 5, where they're dragging it. I just rewatched Fast 5 when I was down in South Carolina visiting family, and it's just like they're dragging a fucking vault down the streets of Brazil. Family. So And there's 10 of those motherfuckers. There's 10 Fast and Furious entries. So, yes, you're going to have people that are pushing back and saying, this is nothing new. We've seen it before. We're over it. But I don't know, man. You look at the box office. Are people over Superman? People are saying that. We're gonna do a review of Superman, the next episode. It's on the docket. That's in the list. That's on the queue. And it's like, are people over Superman? That's the bigger question. But are people over dinosaurs? I had dino-shaped chicken nuggets for dinner tonight. Okay. I usually give them to my daughter. Didn't have her this week. And I decided, you know what? I'm going to dive into these dinos. People love dinosaurs. No, don't pay attention to the noise and the chatter, because it's a vocal minority. And this is what gets me so frustrated with what's going on. It's like, you can't put the same amount of weight on every single negative comment on this, okay? How do you get people excited about this stuff again? It's fucking dinosaurs, dude. They're exciting by nature. I don't think we're going to get to a point. I mean, people say the same. I think there's a correlation between superheroes and dinosaurs. People have been saying, the market's oversaturated. And so, yes, Marvel decided to pull back a little bit on that and said, okay, we're not going to go full tilt on superheroes. The schedule, we're going to pare it down a little bit, trim it a little bit, space it out so that we're not just constantly every quarter hitting people with a superhero film. Smart move. I don't think we're not even close to that same level of saturation with dinosaurs. Other than Jurassic Park, where are you seeing 65 was the movie, which I did a review, check it out on YouTube. 65 is like one of the only other movies that like specifically centers and focuses on dinosaurs. You truly don't see it. Like, you would think that it made me question, like, does Amblin Entertainment and NBC Universal Pictures, and did they pay a fee to have a monopoly on dinosaur movies? If they're releasing a movie, they released Jurassic World in 2015. Fallen Kingdom was 2018, I want to say. You had Dominion in 22, and then you have, Rebirth in 25. Other than those movies, you had 65, which came out 2 years ago, 2023. That's it. You can't, I'm sorry, but I just don't think the genre is fully maxed out. I think there's a lot that can be done with dinosaurs, and it really feels like we've only really scratched the surface. I'm super excited about dinosaurs in Jurassic World and Jurassic Park. I think there's a ton of ways you can go about it. In an interview with Games Radar, director Gareth Edwards explained that people having an overall disinterest in dinosaurs is written into the story, which I thought I don't agree with that. Again, I can understand their perspective. We have to acknowledge the elephant in the room. We have to acknowledge the dying dinosaur in the room. All right. There are probably a healthy contingent of people that are over dinosaurs, whatever. They think the Jurassic World franchise is dead or whatever. I look at the box office numbers. I don't see that. I just don't. If it were really that bad, this would have tanked and bombed, and it would not have been in the top 10. Like, is it grossing as much as a Jurassic Park 1? No, obviously not. Or allowed the other Jurassic Park entries? Probably not. But it's not that far off. So I just wholeheartedly disagree. Quote, there's been many dinosaur films in terms of Jurassic Park movies, and the audience, you've got to do something new and fresh to give them a reason to come see the movie. And so by acknowledging that at the beginning and saying, hey, look, audiences aren't that interested in dinosaurs anymore, I thought it was like, okay, well, this is an honest beginning. Let's see where we go from here. And maybe they're doing that so they can set you up to then get you interested again. It's like a very meta approach to filmmaking and to the franchise. We know you, the audience that is currently paying to see this movie, is not interested in the dinosaurs anymore. What? I just disagree. I don't think it's the right way to go. And it sours, like, for the people that are excited, for the people that went to see that fucking movie in the theater, we're excited because we get to see ScarJo, Mahershela Ali. We get to see these people who haven't been involved in the franchise before. So you got new faces, fresh faces. You have a new director. You have you bring back the writer from the original, like, and the box office reflects that. So why would you even think about mentioning that? And you know what the audience is? If I could take a wild guess, it's a PG-13 movie, and so is this like you're then speaking to the teens who like are over? And I get it. Like I've been in plenty of situations now where it's like I get very excited about certain things from my childhood or from my formative years. You know, I was 12 when Jurassic Park came out. I saw it in the theater, read the book. They must be speaking about the younger generations, Gen Z, kids that are just like, dude, I was born 10 years after this, 15 years after Jurassic Park 1. And, you know, I might have seen Jurassic World when I was like 6. And it's like, I like the dinosaurs, but, you know, I guess that's who they're talking about. Cause I fucking love this shit, dude. I have like, it's an institution. It's crazy to me that they feel like they're limited in the world of fucking dinosaurs, dude. That's the message that I'm getting from a lot of these quotes. Is like, how do we get people excited again? And I'm just like, they're dinosaurs. Dinosaurs inherently are exciting. They just are, because we know they were real, but there's this other element where we don't know everything about them. You know, it's like they're equivalent of a unicorn, except a unicorn is not real. Like I watched, you know, unicorns are another thing where my daughter's obsessed with unicorns, and they're getting a lot of mileage out of unicorns. And then Death of a Unicorn comes along. I just watched it on HBO Max. They took it in a new direction, and it, for the most part, I liked it a lot. It's just, you know, the CGI and the special effects were tough. They're just tough. Like if they found a way to put more into that budget to get them to look better, I think it would have resonated more. But, you know, I think people are already, it's tough for people to suspend their disbelief that, okay, unicorns are like that. I don't want to spoil anything, but like, okay, so you're saying unicorns are not what we've been thinking or painting them as for so long. They're actually this. Like that's, people probably are less hesitant to accept that, some people, but that's not your target audience. Your target audience is like, oh, fuck yeah, this is a new take on unicorns, at least to us. And then to have them not look so great, it's like, Still, I enjoyed the movie because it's a great premise and it had great performances from the cast. But I mean, the sheer power, terror, horror, fear that they elicit, the wonder, the awe, I don't think that's going away. I mean, we only get a dinosaur movie. Until recently, we didn't have, for Christ's sakes, from 97, or was it 2003? From 2003 to 2015, for 12 fucking years, we didn't get a dinosaur movie. It's unfathomable to think about. And we get a dinosaur movie once every 3 years, and honestly, it's not enough. I'll take one a year. One a year. Sign me up. As a plot device, I think they thought they were being clever as a way to, show the, obviously you have character arcs. This person started here, they're down and out, and then at the end of the movie, they're on top of the world, or they started on top of the world, and then they're at the bottom, once the dust settles. With this, it's just like, it was sad. It's just sad. And I guess that's the point. They want you to be sad, but for what? For you to get, I guess it worked, because look at me. I'm like, I don't want to say triggered, but it's like I'm getting very emotional about it. Like, the death of dinosaurs. What? Like, we're just entering a phase of filmmaking now where dinosaur movies should be, like, we're entering an era of visual effects, special effects, AI, where these dinosaur movies can become way more realistic, and we can do more with the technology to make the dinosaurs seem real. And we're just we're saying, yeah, people are not interested anymore. It's like, okay, I guess people are over vampires, werewolves, and zombies too, right? 28 years later, Sinners, Wolfman. It's just like, what are you talking about? So I don't know. I'm probably misinterpreting it. I do that a lot, even though I have a degree in communications. I'm probably misconstruing things, but I don't agree with that direction and approach. Because you're paying mind to the haters and the skeptics, of which it's not the majority of fans, dude. Maybe they liked the first one and they've hated it ever since for whatever reason, because they like to hate. I mean, how do you get people excited about this stuff again? You definitely don't get them excited by explicitly stating that people are not excited about dinosaurs anymore. You definitely don't do it through expository news footage montages. Ugh, that really bothers me. I hate those. You're separating yourself from the action and from what's happening. Like, these crazy events are happening and you're watching it through a fucking newsreel? No. They did it in Dominion. I just rewatched Dominion in preparation for this episode, and they do it in Dominion, and it's because they want to get you a ton of information in like a very short amount of time. And how do you do that? A news montage. Okay, fine. But like, there was some kind of cool stuff happening in that montage that it's like, I would have liked to see that, not with I'm already watching a screen and now you put another screen in between me and the screen that I'm watching. Like, I don't want to watch multiple screens when I'm watching the movie. I want to be there. It needs to be more immersive. That's where Dominion fell short, at least in setting up the rest of the movie, was like, I want to be there and I want to see, I want to be in the Freedom Tower looking out and seeing a pterodactyl flying at me or something like that. And I that's probably a bad example because that probably might deeply affect someone, but you hopefully you get what I'm getting at. It's like, the message from that newsreel in Dominion was, we figured it out. It's just like, oh, we just figured it out. Like, we're still trying to figure it out, but we got mostly under control. And it's like, that's not what I want to see. I want to see chaos, mayhem, carnage. That's why you go to the movies, to escape and see fantasy and stuff that you wouldn't see in your normal day-to-day. And you package that into a fucking 2-minute newsreel. And they almost kind of did something similar in this one, but it just bothers me so much. Like, don't tell me all that crap. Show it to me in a way that makes me feel like I'm there and part of it. I mean, there's so many reasons why dinosaurs are exciting. And for you to come out and say, oh, look, they're not exciting anymore. It's like, well, what the fuck am I doing at this movie then? I mean, it's supposed to be a thriller. You're not thrilling me by showing a museum shutting down and people getting annoyed by a traffic jam because there's a friggin' like brontosaurus that's like blocking traffic in Manhattan, the Bronx. It's just like, ugh. I mean, they have featured I searched for the most exciting dinosaur species. You got the T-Rex, right? King of the lizards. Got it. One of the largest, most powerful carnivores, measuring up about 40 feet long, weighing about 8,000 kilograms. Okay, got it. Strongest bite force of any land animal, capable of delivering up to 6 tons of pressure, which we got a glimpse of that. We saw it at the end of Dominion, when Maisie, the human clone, is climbing up the stairs to get to the station and the T-Rex is chomping down. Although, was that the T-Rex? No, it was not the T-Rex. It was the Giganotosaurus, which I like to call Gigantor, and I will be calling Gigantor from now on. And maybe the T-Rex has had its run. I think there's still a lot of fascination with that species. I mean, you look at the raft scene in itself was just amazing, and we just got a taste. We're just getting little tastes, And they've definitely given the T-Rex plenty of spotlight. The Spinosaurus was an animal that, I guess, in Jurassic Park 3, we got to see it, and then we got to see it a little bit in Dominion when they're down in the mines. It's the largest carnivorous dinosaur ever discovered, about 59 feet long, could live on land and in water, long, narrow, crocodile-like skull, adapted for catching fish, and we get to see it again here in Rebirth. So, check it, check. They are Argentinosaurus, or the Titanosaur, one of the largest known dinosaurs, and giant among sauropods, could reach over 100 feet in length and weigh around 100 tons, virtually immune to predation, capable of defending itself with supersonic tail whips. Oh, so cool. I don't understand how this dinosaur stays upright. Look at the length on that friggin' neck. The length and the girth on the neck. I mean, it's way bigger than the tail, bigger than the legs. Like, how do you not just tip over, dude? So, I mean, they had a titanosaur scene. That was one of the creatures that they have to extract the DNA from. And again, it was reminiscent of the first time that Dr. Grant and Dr. Sadler, or Ellie Sattler, are in the Jeep and they see the dinosaur in real life for the first time. Like that scene was kind of comparable to that. The Gigantor, I can't say why say Giganotosaurus, dude? Just say Gigantor. Slightly larger than the T-Rex, carnivorous predator, up to 47 feet long. Uses sharp, serrated teeth and strong jaws to hunt. Made its debut in the Dominion, depicted as one of the formidable carnivores. That was cool to watch in Dominion. The Therizinosaurus. Therizino. Largest claws of any land animal, over half a meter long. This dinosaur has a unique appearance with shaggy feathers and a huge belly. Bipedal and stood nearly 5 meters tall. Appears in Dominion. One of the cooler scenes in Dominion is when Claire is running away from it, or trying to get away from it, and slides into the pond and hides under the surface of the pond. And you see that shot of her coming to the camera. She's like slowly, doesn't want to make too much noise or movement, and is just slowly belly crawling into the pond, and just seeing the look of horror and fear on her face as she's like slowly submerging herself under the water. And then it's perfectly framed. Behind her, you have the very long claws of the Therizinosaurus, just slowly creeping in, like coming in closer to her head. So I thought that was an amazing scene. And I think Gareth Edwards had a quote about the feathers. Like, they just look like giant chickens. And I'm just saying to myself, dude, if you want to go in a new route or a fresh route, or you want to try something different, the Therizinosaurus was, I thought, a really great attempt. And I'm sure it got a lot of hate from someone. Can't please everyone, but I liked it because it's something that we have not really seen before in the franchise. And I mean, it ends up, spoiler alert, ends up killing the friggin' Gigantor with some help from T-Rex. So, I dug that dinosaur, and I think that they should go more along those lines. And then you have they say the Utah raptor has not been featured, but it's one of the most lethal raptors ever. I'm pretty sure I saw this in Dominion. It weighs up to 2,000 pounds, large sickle-shaped claws. Yeah, this is when, if it wasn't this, it was something that's very similar to this, when Owen and Kayla crash the plane into that, like, the iced over pond or lake or whatever the hell that was. And it comes out, ice starts to break, and it just dives into the water. And it's just like terrorizing them. That was another great scene. Again, those two scenes feature two dinosaurs that are unlike anything we've seen in the franchise, at least, have feathers, but they look different and unique, still just as dangerous, still just as much of a threat. Allosaurus made an appearance in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, but as an escapee at the end. And maybe that's the issue, is that for a large swath of the audience, it's like they can't tell the difference between an Allosaurus and a T-Rex and a Gigantor. And it's like they basically lumped them in there. Oh, these three are the same. So, like, how do we make them different? How do we let the audience know that they're not all the same? And I attribute a lot of there's not a lot of shortcomings with this movie, but I attribute most of the shortcomings to the fact that they did not have a lot of time to complete this thing, which doesn't make sense to me. It's like, this is a tentpole, huge blockbuster event for your company. Why rush it? And, there are some quotes that I'm going to read off where it's like they were defending it, but I guess it's because I think it's just a Hollywood thing where they want to, like, keep in the good graces of the studio, because, like, in my mind, it's like, why not just take your freaking time and get it right and release it in the summer of 2026? Oh, because we have this other blockbuster planned for 2026. All right. And we don't have anything planned for 2025. All right. Is that because of the writer's strike? Or was that because of what? So they felt the need, like, we have to do this, because if we don't, we're going to get trounced by WB, Warner Brothers, because they're coming out with Superman. And then we're going to get trounced by Marvel and Disney because they're releasing, Fantastic Four, First Steps. And so they feel like, well, we have to, if we don't do this, we're going to lose to them in this summer. It's like, all right, okay. That's just a lack of foresight, lack of planning. What is it? Why'd you rush it? Listen, the spin zone they put on that is like, well, pressure is essentially, I'm not even paraphrasing, I'm just making an analogy. Pressure makes diamonds. And so when you put people under pressure, like good things can come out of it. A truncated timeline can sometimes benefit you. Okay. Edwards had less than a year and a half to get the film finished, a process that he said would normally take 2.5 years. Again, if you took that extra year, are we looking at this differently? And is it a different product? And are we looking at this as a top 3 Jurassic Park movie as opposed to being mid-tier, mezzanine? Edwards ultimately found the film's shortened production time to be beneficial. Quote, if you have too much time, you procrastinate, you try things that don't work. I'm willing to accept that. There are times where it's like, I have plenty of time. This is not till next year. And then all of a sudden, I'm like last minute Larry over here. Like I procrastinate to all ends. So I get it because, I'll dilly-dally. I'll dabble, But then it's go time and crunch time. It's like, all right, focus, nix this, get rid of that, like this, go with your gut. If they got another year, will we get a worse product, according to Gareth Edwards? I don't know. I don't think so. The writer on this was David Koepp. He, if you're not familiar, has written a ton of really awesome scripts and screenplays for really good movies, starting with Toy Soldiers was the one that I recognized. Death Becomes Her, kind of an interesting dark comedy, black comedy with Bruce Willis and Meryl Streep and Goldie Hawn, maybe? He wrote the original Jurassic Park and its first sequel, Lost World. He wrote Carlito's Way, which I've never seen, but if you're into Scarface, I imagine you'd be into Carlito's Way. The original Mission Impossible is attributed to him. Snake Eyes, and that's the movie with Nick Cage, not the one about the G.I. Joe character. Stir of Echoes with Kevin Bacon. I haven't watched it, but I'm thinking I should. Panic Room with Jodie Foster, which I liked. 2002 Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, which, my God, that was a daily watch. Secret Window, 2004 with Johnny Depp. That's kind of I don't know if I want to say hidden gem. I liked it. That's a good movie to pop on if you're hungover on a Sunday. You won't be disappointed, I don't think. War of the Worlds in 2005. This is the 2005 version with Tom Cruise, not the one that just came out in Prime Video. I haven't seen it, but my God, the ratings and reviews for that frickin' movie are real bad. I want to say it's like a 2.6 or 2.7 out of 10 on IMDb, which Snow White has a 2.1 out of 10, but I think that's for different reasons. So that really pisses me off. Then the 20th anniversary of the first one being released, like we released just a dud. Really? Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. He also wrote The Dial of Destiny. Crystal Skull catches a lot of heat, gets a lot of shit. I liked it. Of course, CGI was kind of whatever. Dial of Destiny, I was not expecting to like it. I thought I would be like too consumed with the fact that Harrison Ford is like almost 80, trying to run around and kill Nazis, but I loved it. He wrote the 2023 film Kimi, Kimi, which starred Zoe Kravitz. That was good. That was like coming out of the pandemic when we didn't have a ton of movies coming out of the pandemic, and it's a good watch, solid watch. 2024's Presence, which has been getting some pretty decent reviews, I think. I think audiences dig it. It's a horror movie. And then Black Bag with Michael Fassbender and Cate Blanchett. I saw this on Peacock, directed by Steven Soderbergh. That's a movie where I feel like humming along, but was towing the line and was like very, very close to like, I don't think I want to watch this movie anymore. And then it's like it all starts to kick in and it gets really good at the end. So ultimately, a really great movie. So upcoming for this dude, David Koepp, he's got an untitled Steven Spielberg Amblin Universal event film. Can't wait to find out what that is. It's just going to be another Jurassic Park, Jurassic World. Cold Storage is another one that he's got coming out. When a mutating, highly contagious fungus escapes a sealed facility, 2 young employees joined by a grizzled bioterror operative must survive the wildest night shift ever to save humanity from extinction. Stars Joe Keery from Stranger Things as one of the 2 young employees, and then Liam Neeson, I would assume, is the grizzled bioterror operative. So I've seen some stills. I don't know if I looked at the trailer yet, but I thought that was pretty cool. He's also got The Green Hornet and Kato and The Bride of Frankenstein in development. So Kep said, quote, while doing research, I found that certain dinosaurs, larger ones in particular, did have extraordinarily long lifespans, and the reason was they had a remarkably low incidences of heart disease. That led to the idea that a drug could be synthesized from their DNA because the greatest killer of humans is heart disease. And of course, based on characters by Michael Crichton, who, as a reminder, wrote Westworld, script for a novel for Westworld, which the movie came out in 1973, Jurassic Park novel, Lost World novel, Congo novel, which I vividly remember. Twisters, that's the new one, the updated one. The novel Sphere, which Sphere was also a pretty awesome movie. And he created the TV show ER. Ever heard? He's also got another novel that's being adapted into a movie called Eruption. The plot for this one is, as a volcanic disaster looms over Hawaii's Big Island, a long-buried military secret emerges that could prove more devastating than nature's fury. Sign me up. I'm into it. So the cast for Jurassic World Rebirth. We got ScarJo, Scarlett Johansson as Zora Bennett, a covert operation expert. Johansson has been a huge fan of the franchise ever since she was a child. She spent the last 10 years before this film was announced trying to join the franchise, saying she would have been fine with appearing in only one to die in the first 5 minutes if it meant she could be part of it. It's Die Hard, for sure. Jennifer Lawrence and Amanda Seyfried turned down the role of Zora Bennett. Would they have been better? Would they have been worse? Jennifer Lawrence would have been interesting. Amanda Seyfried, I don't know if she would have worked for something like this. I can't picture her as a mercenary operative. Jennifer Lawrence, I can. Just channel that Red Sparrow, Hunger Games type, Mystique, X-Men type mindset, and I think she would definitely crush it. But ScarJo, man, I'm so happy that she got to be not just be a part of the franchise, but to be like the face of the franchise, essentially. I mean, who knows if it's going to be a trilogy or if they decide like the other route you could go is maybe, people get tired of seeing the same characters in 2 and 3. So for this trilogy, you go in slightly with another cast. It almost becomes an anthology of sorts. Because I'll tell you this, Mahershela Ali stole the show as Duncan Kincaid, Zora's team leader. I think. I really gravitated to his performance way more than I did Scarlett Johansson. And maybe it was a choice on her end to be like, well, if I'm this mercenary, this operative, covert, I've seen it all, I've done it all, I have all these traumas, I'm going to have this kind of light, airy vibe going on. Maybe she didn't want to replicate what she did as Black Widow in the Avengers franchise. Where it's like there is a lot of trauma and pain and hurt there. And it came through in her, even though she had been trained and taught to cut off those emotions and sever those emotions. Maybe she's like, well, I can't do that again for this. Got to give it its own personality. And I don't want to say I guess I am disappointed, but I'm not like crazy disappointed. It's just like I thought I wanted, I guess, something different or maybe a little bit more, but it left me wanting. She didn't, I don't think she did a terrible job. I love that she's part of it. I hope she continues to be part of the franchise. But, you'd be hard pressed to say, oh, this is one of her best performances. Zora Bennett shares a surname with Dorothea Bennett, a geneticist, a Sega Genesis, a geneticist from Hawaii who did research on mammalian genetics. So that's a cool little ode, tip of the hat. Mahershela Ali, who I mentioned as Duncan Kincaid, Zora's team leader. Duncan Kincaid shares a surname with biologist Trevor Kincaid, who's notable for discovering several species of insects and worms. Again, that's a nice little Easter egg, which I guess Spielberg and Kep were against Easter eggs. But it's like, isn't that an Easter egg? Not so much a visual Easter egg as it is like a little bit of a did you know Easter egg. Jonathan Bailey is Dr. Henry Loomis, a paleontologist. Bailey was cast at the suggestion of Universal executives who were impressed with his performance in the 2024 film Wicked. And I have to agree, I know it's crazy for me, a straight man in his mid-40s, to say that I liked Wicked, but I did. And a large part of it is because of this dude, Jonathan Bailey. I thought he did an amazing job in that movie, where it's like he was captivating to watch. He just had everyone hook, line, and sinker. So I really dug his performance there, and I can see why Universal was like, we saw him in Wicked, we know he's going to knock it out of the park in this. Different type performance. That, if you've seen Wicked, then you know what kind of performance he put on. In Wicked, he's very flashy, flamboyant, debonair, all that great stuff. Here, he's playing more of a shy, reserved, calculating, analytical type. So, but he's still able to pull it off, and that's the signature of a great actor. So, another actor that they were considering for this role was Glenn Powell, who turned down the offer as he didn't feel he could add anything to the film, but went on to praise the script and express his love for the franchise, which to me, that's Hollywood speak. that's like his polite way of saying they didn't pay me enough, maybe, or they weren't going to pay me enough, or maybe he really did have a scheduling conflict where it's like, I'm going to be in Running Man and I'm going to be in XYZ, but I think he would have done great in this role. And part of me thinks that they might have gotten a bigger box office draw by including him in a lot of the marketing materials and the promos, because I do think he has a very steadily growing fan base, more so than Jonathan Bailey. Could be wrong about that. But to me, it's like Glenn Powell has almost been not crowned necessarily as the next big thing, but he's got, Tom Cruise is his like mentor, and he's got, Hitman was a movie that really kind of made me see him in a new light and made me consider him as like, okay, this guy's got versatility, he's got range. So I think that would have been cool to see him in this movie. It would have been different than what Bailey gave us, but I mean, you look at what Bailey did in Wicked versus here, and it's, don't underestimate. Let's not typecast. So I would have liked to see Glenn Powell. Would he have given a better performance? I think it's a flip of the coin. I think they both would have done well. Jennifer Lawrence versus Scarlett Johansson. Ooh, that's a tough one. I mean, I don't know. I think Johansson it wasn't a bad performance, but it gets, the wheels turning. Like, would Lawrence have brought a different energy to it? Maybe. I feel like J-Law is kind of past this in her career, right? I mean, they're roughly the same age, but it feels like Lawrence is like, you know what? I've gone down this route, and it's just not in my wheelhouse anymore. It doesn't appeal to me. And maybe she would not have given you the kind of performance we would have hoped and wanted. But Jonathan Bailey's character is named Dr. Henry Loomis. Now, this is from IMDb Trivia, and there are no sources on IMDb Trivia, so this could be completely false, but Jonathan Bailey's character is named Dr. Henry Loomis in tribute to Dr. Samuel Loomis, Donald Pleasance's character in the Halloween franchise, which, okay. I mean, there are a lot of people with the last name Loomis, so I don't know if that's directly a correlation. But if that's the case, they should have, well, I guess they did. No. I mean, if you've watched the Halloween franchise, the Dr. Samuel Loomis in that is kind of not an oddball, but he's a little, he's a little askew. He's a little. So maybe I almost would have liked to see Bailey gone more down that road, but they couldn't do that because he was the voice of reason, common sense. Rupert Friend played Martin Krebs, a pharmaceutical representative. Martin Krebs has a surname which references the Krebs cycle, a metabolic process by which the chemical ATP is generated. Okay. And I have nothing against Rupert Friend. Honestly, I don't mind Rupert Friend as Martin Krebs if Jonathan Bailey is not Dr. Henry Loomis and vice versa. That might have been a creative choice in saying like, well, we need these two men are essentially the same man, but here's Jonathan Bailey's Dr. Loomis plays like the angel on your right shoulder, and Rupert Friend as Martin Krebs is the devil on your left shoulder. And it's the same guy. They're just playing two different aspects of the same guy's personality. It's a stretch, dude. And if I got that right, holy fucking shit. But in my opinion, why not go different? Get someone who they're just very similar in stature and look and physique, and it's just like, I don't know if that was an active choice. I would have liked to see it be like just different. Make these characters really come alive and be unique. Nicholas Hoult was considered to play Martin Krebs in the early stages, and I got to tell you, that would have been. I mean, again, no knock against Rupert Friend. He did an amazing job. He was not, as far as like, I'm sure you could. make an argument that it's a cliche villain antagonist role. He didn't really necessarily play it that way. So I think, I'm not saying replace him or shit on him or anything, but Nicholas Hoult in this role would be dynamite. I've seen him now in The Order, when he played like a leader of a local, I don't know if it's the KKK, is it? Maybe. I think he did a phenomenal job in that. I watched him in Superman as Lex Luthor, which is a swing, a little bit of a risk. He has the ability to come across as boyish. We've also seen him unleash the beast, literally, in X-Men First Class. And we saw what he could do when he was in the Mad Max franchise. So, I mean, I would have liked to see him in this role. Again, nothing but respect for Rupert Friend. I'm not saying he did a bad job, but I think Nicholas Hoult would have really elevated it to a place where, maybe we're not talking so much about cliches and stereotypes and whatnot. And then we get to the Delgado family. Manuel Garcia Rulfo as Ruben Delgado, the father of a shipwrecked civilian family. Luna Blaze, I'm not saying that right, Blaze, as Teresa Delgado, Ruben's eldest daughter. David Iacono as Xavier Dobbs, Teresa's boyfriend, and Audrina Miranda as Isabella Delgado, Ruben's youngest daughter. And I have so many thoughts about this fucking family, dude. Like, I can honestly see myself in that pitch room, reading the script, visualizing them talking through it and being like, we need to have this in there because as much as this is a horror film and an action movie, blockbuster, popcorn, all that good stuff, in order to get it to hit, it's the 4-quadrant thing that we always talk about. It needs to appeal to young men, young women, older men, older women. It needs to appeal to all 4 of those quadrants. And they feel like the best way to do that is through the incorporation or integration of a family into the plot and the storyline. The equivalent here, or the parallel, is you have the brother and sister who were John Hammond's grandkids in the first one. You had, in the second one, I want to say it was like Ian Malcolm's kid is in the mix there. The third one, I don't necessarily remember. And maybe I need to rewatch that, but I'm sure there was a family involved in that one too. Jurassic World, you had Claire's an aunt, and so she's supposed to watch her nephews. The 2 nephews go off and on their own, and they get in trouble. Again, I think if you were to ask the majority of fans, like, hey, did you like that with the 2 kids? It's like, not really. But they're trying to say we need to hit every single demo that we need to get this to a certain place in the box office. That's the rationale, the logic, I guess. And I'm saying, if you're looking to spice things up and make things exciting and fresh, maybe not do the family thing next time. Like, that whole subplot sucked. And it's like, well, we want families to come watch the movie. I just don't think families are into Jurassic Park. I don't know. I don't get that sense that it's like a family affair. We're going to take the whole family. It's like, maybe I'm way off on this, but I just don't think that's the approach to take anymore. Or at least not in the next one. Like, let's just, Fallen Kingdom, it's about the Lockwood family and the revelation there, and then kind of Owen and Claire, Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard kind of starting their own family and creating their own family. And it's like, okay. And maybe the thought was there's a first draft of this script where it's a mercenary operation and Scarlett Johansson has lost all her loved ones or family. Mahershela Ali has lost all his loved ones and his family, which is the case, at least for Mahershala Ali. I can't remember about Scarlett Johansson's character, Zora Bennett. But they're like, we still need to have that visually appear on screen. We still need that family element, and to kind of bring it back to what I guess people were drawn to in the first one. The difference is What made the kids work in the first one was because, and I guess they tried to attempt this in Jurassic World, where it's like Alan Grant is not good with kids. We established that in one of the opening scenes where he takes that massive talon from the velociraptor and is explaining it to that fat fucking kid, that annoying kid who's like, dinosaurs are blah. And so he like basically gives him a talking to and is like, this talon, and he like, he'll slice you here, and he goes across the belly and across here and across the neck, and he explains how the raptor would kill this kid, and the kid's shitting his pants, pisses his pants, and it's like, so that's the setup. He's bad with kids. The character arc is he wants to be with Ellie Sattler. Ellie Sattler talks about having kids, references the two kids, John Hammond's kids, getting along with them. And so he feels the need that he needs to step it up in order for Sattler to see him as a valid romantic partner and lifelong partner that, and he keeps getting paired with the kids, and he's like, resistant at first. And it's that whole nice character arc of like, oh, but look at the end. He's got it. He's learned how to become or be more of a parental figure, a guide, mentor, whatever. That comforting security for kids. He's kind of turned the corner a little bit. That made sense. Jurassic World was like kind of they go down this similar route, but then it's like it's Claire's nephews. So it's like, why wouldn't you have some attachment to them? But she's too busy to do anything with them. And so then she feels guilty that she's not doing things with them and then has to save them. And I guess it's this similar path or arc that Dr. Grant was going on, where it's like she was so hyper-focused on her work that she was not focusing on building a family or developing a family or missing out on that experience. And by the end of Jurassic World, it's like, all right, maybe maybe I shouldn't focus on work so much, and maybe I should start to build and develop a relationship with Owen and start thinking about family and whatnot. Why is the family in this one again? Okay, I can hear you screaming at your screen of choice. I get it. It's because Mahershela Ali lost his wife and daughter, or at least his daughter, maybe not his wife, and then the wife and him, drifted apart because they lost the daughter. Okay. And so they need something. It's like a pie in the face or a slam. They call it a slam. So you basically are taking something. It's either a quote from another character, which feels like cheating a little bit, or you have action going on in the movie that serves as a slam. And so the family, I guess the Delgado family getting stranded and attacked by the Mosasaurus is the slam for Mahershala Ali. Like, you couldn't save your daughter, but now you have a chance to save this daughter. Maybe it's a similar slam for Scarlett Johansson, where it's like, you lost your comrades, your fellow mercenaries, or you lost so-and-so in this battle, in this thing, because you didn't go back and get them, or you went on strictly for the mission and you did not deviate from the mission to save your buddy or your friend or your whatever fellow mercenary. And so those are the competing slams against those two characters. And so that's why we introduce the family, so that we can make sure to save them, because then that will help us feel better about ourselves and heal our soul to a certain degree. Listen, I get it. You got to flesh out these characters. You got to give them depth. And it can't just be all dino all day. But sometimes you can just keep it simple, stupid. Like, what pops into my mind is Prey, which was a movie that I don't even think it went to theaters. I think it came out in 2022 on Hulu. And I watched it on Hulu, and it's like, yeah, there's a good story here. But it felt like it was much more action-based and simplistic in its nature. Girl being doubted. Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is, ironically, I think they had too many characters, and I don't think you needed the Delgado family. Maybe they were worried that the Delgado family was serving as such an obvious plot device. They're like, well, now we got to give them depth. We got to give them arcs and storylines. And like, why are they worth saving? We have to show that they are worth saving, because they have to work out this stuff that they didn't, with the boyfriend and the father and it's just, all right. I think you could have taken all that out. I think you could have taken the Delgado family completely out of this movie, and it would have been fine. But I mean, yeah, there's one, the raft scene is awesome, and the family's involved in that. The other scene that was awesome, where it's like Xavier's taking a piss in the jungle, and you start to see like the raptors slowly creeping up behind him, about to pounce, and then they get snatched by a larger predator. So those are two cool scenes. Could you have inserted other characters there? I mean, yes, Xavier from the get is like, you don't like the guy. They definitely portrayed him and painted him as like, look at this jackass sleeping in, being lazy, and then the dad asking him to do things on the boat, and he's saying, "Oh, I'm not really good at it. You can handle it." And then going back to bed, it's like, "Oh, okay, this guy sucks." And like he continues to suck for, I think, a little too long. It's just like, what? Why is this girl with this guy? And then eventually he redeems himself, but I just did not care about that family. I don't know. I don't want to call it a cheap tactic, but introducing Dolores, the little baby dinosaur, that feels cheap. It almost signals like you don't have confidence in your core. You don't have confidence in Johansson and Ali. You don't have confidence in that group to pull it off. And then you have the rest of Zora's team. Ed Skrein as Bobby Atwater. So I didn't even really understand why they introduced Bobby Atwater. I forget what his role is in this movie. That's how unforgettable it was, which stinks because the guy playing it, I think he played, what's his name in Deadpool? Ajax. Yeah, Ajax is his name in that. So same guy, definitely has a presence to him, some weight to his performances, and he's like barely utilized in this movie. And you have Bettier Sylvain as Leclerc, who, if you wanted one of the team members to survive, it's that dude. I just feel like he seemed like the most relatable, or at least the most human of those characters. Philippine Velgi as Nina, a member of Zora's team. It's nice to meet you, but I don't foresee you going very far. This is the only Jurassic sequel to not include any characters from the original Jurassic Park, nor returning characters from any previous film in the series. Interesting choice, and they comment on that and say why they gave reasoning for why they did that. I think it's a wise move. I don't think that they should completely rule out the possibility of doing what they did in Dominion. Did they handle it well in Dominion? No, because in Dominion they bring back Dr. Alan Grant, Dr. Ian Malcolm, Ellie Sattler, who I believe is a doctor. So they do that. I just don't like what they did with it. Like one of the rules that David Koepp wrote with was he's not going to retcon anything. So if that's the case, then Owen Grady, Claire Dearling, Grant, Sattler, Malcolm, they all exist in this world still. It's just a matter of like what their level of participation is going to be for it. So I don't think you should completely rule that out down the line, and we haven't even gotten to the plot, shit. But I'll do a little speed run through the plot for you. In 2008, InGen is operating a dinosaur research lab on Ile Saint-Hubert, a fictional location in the Atlantic Ocean. The site is used for genetic experiments, including transgenic and mutated dinosaurs. Trans, so hot right now. Trans, so hot. I identify as a they, them dino. One of these creations, a deformed six-limbed tyrannosaur dubbed Distortus Rex, escapes containment because of the Snickers wrapper that is left on the ground by one of the workers. The Ile Saint-Hubert laboratories ended up being abandoned due to an employee carelessly littering a snack food wrapper in a dangerous high-security environment and causing everything to fail and chaos and death to follow. This mirrors a similar scene in the Lost World novel where a character let their candy wrapper fall to the ground instead of pocketing it and leads to mayhem, deaths, and a total shift of events. So they definitely took a lot from the Lost World novel in this adaptation. It also references the Andromeda strain, Crichton's first novel, where a stray piece of paper jamming a vital equipment nearly results in the virus escaping. That's also tricky because like there have been plenty of times where I'm like, oh, fucking A, really? That's what's happening here? Is this little thing just happens? But it's like you think about your day to day and what happens in the course of your day or throughout life, and it's like little things. Well, if I didn't knock this thing over, I wouldn't have bent down to pick it up, and then she wouldn't have hit her head, and I wouldn't have blah blah blah. Chaos theory, dude. I mean, it goes back to the chaos theory from Ian Malcolm, so I think that's a fitting Nice little tribute to Michael Crichton. The name Distortus Rex is never actually said on screen. The words D-Rex are just seen on the door to its cell, and it's never actually named by any of the characters. That's a good creative choice, because I think if you said, and now Distortus Rex, it would be like, you'd probably get a couple giggles. Although, listen, they tried to infuse some humor into this installment. Did they necessarily nail it? No, but they're trying. And I think that could have been an opportunity. I don't know who would deliver the line, because no one from the lab, I guess, is still alive on the island. But man, that would have been funny if it's like the first time you see Distortus Rex, he's like, he really is just fucking shit up. And then it's like, what the hell is that? And then someone says Distortus Rex, and they go, what? Like, maybe that could have worked. Maybe. The design of the Distortus Rex was inspired by the Xenomorphs in the Alien franchise and the Rancors in the Star Wars franchise, with its bulbous head. Oh, yeah. I'm sure, I haven't seen it, but I'm sure there are memes out the ass about like this looking like a purple-headed warrior, if you will. A corona with the helmet, Lord Helmet from Spaceballs. The visual effects director, Vickery, stated, quote, it's as if another animal has been wrapped around the T-Rex. Gareth wanted us to feel sorry for it as well as terrified, because its deformities have caused it some pain and there's an encumbrance to it. I think, minus the bulbous head thing, I think they got it right. I think they probably could have turned up the pain grotesquerie of it. Could you really tell it's in pain, or could you just tell like it's just pissed? Like, I'd like to see things that when you look at it, you feel pain. Do you feel pain looking at this? You're like, oh, it looks different, but like I don't think, oh, it's painful looking at it. So I think they probably could have done better job of designing it. I see what they're saying with the Xenomorph, kind of like that bulbous head type of approach with the Xenomorph. Yes, I did pick up on that. But, the Xenomorph also has like the very elongated skull pointing back. This is just like it's a dickhead. There, I said it. It's a dickhead. And I've seen this, I can't pull it from the top of my head. It's down deep, down there in the badlands of my brain. But there's definitely movies where it's like you see a mutation and it's always like, kill me. Like, almost like Quatu meets from Total Recall meets. So I think there's been plenty of that. And maybe they didn't want to play into that trope where it's like, well, we can't have it just like looking like it wants to be killed all the time. But at the same time, if you want it to summon a feeling of pain from the audience and be like, ooh, and cringe, like, you need to do a better job. The D-Rex kills an employee, wreaks havoc, forcing the personnel to abandon the island. Again, that's a classic Jurassic World, Jurassic Park franchise scene. Is that what people are referencing when they're like, we've seen this before? I don't know, but that kind of, gets my juices flowing. The plot of the second novel, as I mentioned, namely how InGen had many failures on the road to cloning dinosaurs that weren't shown to the guests during the Jurassic Park incident, are evident and covered in detail here in this here flick. Speaking with Vanity Fair, Gareth Edwards revealed how the new terrifying mutated dinosaur was designed, explaining that he drew upon classic movie monsters that have been scaring audiences for decades. Quote, when you make a creature, you get a big massive pot and you pour in your favorite monsters from other films and books, he explained, sharing that the alien's Xenomorph, Return of the Jedi's Rancor, and the T-Rex from the original Jurassic Park movie were all influences. Quote, some Rancor went in there, some H.R. Geiger went in there, and a little T-Rex went in there. H.R. Geiger, if you're not familiar, was a Swiss surrealist artist and designer known for his biomechanical style, which blended human and machine forms. He is best known for his Oscar-winning designs for the Alien film series and Species. Yeah, the biomechanical, I just mentioned this in my last review, I think for Sinners, because I was talking about, I think, David Cronenberg films, Existence and Dead Ringers, and the biomechanical shit always fucks my head up. It always, like, it's a device, like like a gun, which would normally be steel, metal, whatever, that's made out of flesh and bone. It's like, well, nothing goes to waste. I get it. In the year this movie takes place, most of Earth's climate has become inhospitable to sustain the de-extinct dinosaurs. The remaining animals survive in areas around the equator, which resemble the Mesozoic climate, making them no travel zones. Okay, I'll buy that. But why wasn't that? That wasn't really like in Dominion. They're most of North America. And again, I think that's the newsreel montage in this one was like, and they're all dying off and they're all going to the equator. And it's just like, God damn it. You got to stop with these fucking newsreels. These like news reports suck. You got to stop them. I know you need to explain, but there's got to be a better way. There has to be a better way because it sucks. Because that feels like such a major, again, that feels like another. They did it in Dominion where they skipped over probably the best part was just quickly doing a newsreel, and they did it again here with Rebirth. It's like they didn't learn the lesson. Like, oh, the dinos are dying everywhere. They got sick because of the climate. It's just like, maybe you should have focused on that in Dominion and not the locust bullshit. Martin Krebs, an executive at a pharmaceutical company named Parkergenics, recruits Zora Bennett, an ex-military covert operative, to collaborate with paleontologist Dr. Henry Loomis on a top-secret mission. When Zora and Martin first visit Dr. Loomis, this is what I'm talking about. When Krebs goes and recruits Zora Bennett, they're in traffic, right? There's a lot of congestion. They're in traffic, and it's all because there's a massive. It looks like a brontosaurus. I know the brontosaurus isn't an actual dinosaur anymore, apparently, but long-necked herbivore with a long tail, similar to a titanosaur or something like that. And it's like got loose and it's causing a traffic backup, and they're like, not again. And it's like, is that supposed to be funny? It's just sad that we've lost. Here's a point. Sharks, ever heard? Jaws came out in 1975, my guy. I just rewatched it. I still love it. It's actually getting better every time I see it. We're still making shark movies. Plop yourself down in an ocean, deep ocean, no one around, and a shark swimming at you. You're going to fucking lose your gourd, dude. We just got used to dinosaurs. And, the last message that was in Dominion was coexist. Humans adjusted. I get it. Adaptation is the key to survival. I get it. We had to adapt because there were dinosaurs. But how come we didn't? They showed the process in a way that does not get you emotionally invested in the world. The way that they showed it and relayed everything to you, you're kind of just like, well, that sucks. And that's sad. You're not exactly getting me stoked for this movie right now. That's my major, other than the Delgado family, that's the major knock on this movie is just like, you need to hire someone that's like, dinosaurs are fucking exciting, and we're going to show you how exciting dinosaurs are. Not, we know that you no longer like dinosaurs, and we're not here to change your mind. You can continue thinking that, even though you paid $20 to see this movie in a theater. Like, I don't know, man. I don't think that's the right approach. But yeah, when it's like she's looking out the window, Scarlett Johansson's Zora Bennett is looking out the window as they're stuck in traffic and sees the big brontosaurus-looking motherfucker blocking traffic congestion. You see all the people getting so frustrated and whatnot, and it's just like, no, that's not it, homie. Jonathan Bailey is wearing the same color combos Dr. Grant wore in the first Jurassic Park, blue button-up shirt and khakis. He later makes reference to working under Dr. Grant. Again, I love that. Should they have done that with every single character? Probably not. Like, Owen. Oh, yeah, I know Owen. I worked with Owen. Or, oh, yeah, Claire. I know Claire is just like, but that was a nice little touch. Like, I worked under Dr. Grant. It made sense. They kind of dismissed it, which sucked. I would have liked to maybe just milk that a little bit more, where it's like you get to see, what Dr. Grant said, or, something like not constantly referring back to Dr. Grant, but at least, you see Dr. Grant's impact on Bailey, or Dr. Loomis, excuse me. That's where we first meet Dr. Loomis, is at this museum that's being packed away in the beginning of the movie. Two workers are lowering a black display banner for the exhibit that says, "When dinosaurs ruled the earth." This banner being lowered is the exact same banner that falls around the T-Rex at the climax of the original Jurassic Park in '93. This is both a nod to the original movie and a subtle signal of the public's newfound lack of interest in dinosaurs in this film, whereas the original's use of it was a signal of humans' inability to control and overpower the dinosaur. They want you to feel sad. Do you see what I'm saying? This is a action sci-fi thriller basically saying you need to mourn Jurassic Park and mourn Jurassic World because it's over. Well, then why are we going to hop on board for this adventure that we're going on? I completely disagree with how they've approached the past two movies in terms of like setting the stage and setting things up and like skipping over the parts that we want to see, but then giving us parts that we don't want to see. Again, these movies are not trash. You know, they're in that 6 out of 10 range where it's like, yeah, it's fresh. It's on the brink of being rotten, but it's fresh. I don't know. It's like everyone just agreed, like, oh yeah, dinosaurs are, no one cares anymore. It's like, people care, dude. Their goal is to retrieve biomaterial samples from 3 of the largest remaining prehistoric specimens, which hold the key to a new heart disease treatment. In a bar in Suriname, Zora recruits her longtime friend Duncan Kincaid to lead the expedition. He brings boat driver Leclerc, mercenary Nina, and the security chef. He's going to cook up some security. Oh, here's a bulletproof vest with a dash of night vision goggles. This scene could have been better. I'll say that. Like, I think they wanted this scene to be, look at the rapport and the relationship that Duncan and Zora have, but then it turned into this weird, like, we're gonna try and squeeze all this money out of this big pharma guy, which I don't think anyone's gonna disagree with, but it was just like, it felt, again, get us excited about going on this fucking adventure, dude. Get us excited. I don't think people were as excited as, like, it just didn't get, the excitement did not come through in terms of what they presented for this extremely dangerous mission. I feel like they kind of undercut the stakes in this movie. What are the stakes? You know, that's key for Act 1. It's like, set the stakes, increase the stakes, increase the stakes. And that's, you know, I guess that's why they included the Delgado family. Like, oh, we're going to increase the stakes. I just, do we need to spend, I don't know. Like, why is the focus so much on this fucking family? I just don't, I don't understand it. Yeah, that bar scene was tough. Not awful. It's just like, just a little off. The expedition team sets out to Ile Saint-Hubert to extract samples from the aquatic Mosasaurus, terrestrial Titanosaurus, and avian Quetzalcoatlus. Quetzalcoatlus. I call him Queso. So I got Gigantor and I got Queso. Duncan's ship is called the PC Essex, which was named after the whale ship Essex, which was sunk by a bull whale in the Pacific Ocean in 1820. So that's a good little Easter egg. Meanwhile, Ruben Delgado is sailing nearby with his daughters Isabel and Teresa before Teresa leaves for college. Traveling with them is Teresa's boyfriend, Xavier Dobbs, whom Ruben finds obnoxious. Hey, Ruben, you are not alone in that, my friend. The family is shipwrecked by the Mosasaurus, subtle homages throughout, notably in the open water sequences that recall Jaws. Definitely. I don't want to say they were hitting over the head with it, but if you were familiar with Jaws, you know Jaws, I was just like, this is Jaws. I'm watching Jaws. And I didn't hate it. I liked it. Now, everything that happened after that with the family sucked. So the family's shipwrecked. They use a radio to call for help with the expedition team coming to the rescue, which that was a whole debate. You know, if I'm thinking and put on my screenwriter's cap, you know, the development team, they're probably thinking, well, we need to show who's good and who's bad in this little group. We need to show that this pharmaceutical dude is not good peeps because he does not want to go save the family. And we want to show that this person is good and will sacrifice and be brave and courageous. You could have done without it. There are other ways to do it. And listen, I get it. It's a balancing act. You're juggling chainsaws. You don't want to dumb it down for the audience, but you also don't want to make so vague who's the protagonist, who's the antagonist, who's good, who's evil for too long, because then who are you rooting for? Okay. I think it would have been nice to play with us, the audience, a little bit more when it came to the antagonist, Krebs. And maybe just have a little bit more of not Dr. Loomis being so righteous. Criticism from some people, the critics, was like cliched characters, because it's like, well, okay, here's the guy that morally upstanding, and here's the guy who's morally corrupt, and it's like it's very one-dimensional. Ironically, the family, it felt like there was a lot more dimension and depth there. It's just I just didn't. That's what I don't. Ugh. I get it. Like, I have a family, and I would hate to lose them and whatnot, but that's just not what. No, no, no. And maybe that's that's something that they could have explored in a separate movie. I think about, like, maybe not Quiet Place. The new Quiet Place Day One, I think it was, or something like that. It's like she's lost her family. She wants to go back to the pizza place where her father took her all the time, and it has a lot of significance to her, for her, meaning. And that's the last place she wants to be, because she knows it's over. She's also, terminally dying, blah, blah, blah. So you could go the Quiet Place route with Jurassic Park, where it is a family trying to survive, but I don't know. The team soon encounters the Mosasaurus and extracts a sample from it, but the creature returns with a group of Spinosaurus and attacks the ship, killing Bobby Atwater. Bobby Atwater, we hardly knew ye. Like, literally, we hardly knew ye. Teresa attempts to use the radio to call for help, but Martin panics and shoves her away to protect the mission's secrecy. Teresa falls overboard after Martin refuses to help her. Yeah, so here's the thing. If you ditch the family, I'm going to retcon this. I'm trying to, fix it on the fly. Ditch the family, get to know Leclerc, Nina, and Atwater better. Understandably, you probably have a lot of people from the community being like, but they're mercenaries. They probably don't forge deep relationships with each other because they got to be mercenaries. They got to be able to turn on each other in the drop of a hat, or the offer of a dollar bill. They're not driven by connections and bonds. They're devoid of it. Okay, you can make that argument. But I think for these deaths to mean something to us, the audience, we have to see how it impacts Scarlett Johansson and Mahershela Ali. Like, we know that the family, if one of them dies, it's going to be devastating. And maybe that's why they incorporated the family. We didn't know that much about Nina. We didn't know. The most we knew about was Leclerc. And so that's why I'm saying it. It was kind of, it sucked when we lost him. And it's like, I thought he was going to make it the whole way through. That would have been cool. And then you have Atwater, where it's like, what do you have, like 2 lines? So it's like, why not spend more time on the relationships that Zora and Mahershala Ali have with, like, why did they pick these 3 people? It's just because they're the best. Well, how do you know they're the best? Like, get more in depth on that. And so when we do lose them, to a dinosaur attack, that's raising the stakes. Emotional stakes, at least. It's like, oh, now I have this, I'm carrying this trauma and this loss and this grief with me, more so than I was before entering this little operation. And maybe that would have made the audience attach more to Scarlett Johansson and Mahershala Ali, although Ali, I think did a better job of getting you to connect with that character. Just spitballing. Xavier jumps overboard to rescue her, followed by Ruben and Isabella, who then separate from the expedition team. So right there, Xavier, that's like redemption, beginning of the redemption arc. The fact that he went in to save her, really impressed the dad, Ruben. The Mosasaur forces the ship aground, and Nina is killed on shore by the Spinosaurus. Whoa, that was a cool scene. For sure, the Spinosaurus and the Mosasaurus, that was a great set piece. And the Spinosaurus, it feels like we've seen them a little bit now in Rebirth. We saw them a little bit in Dominion. We saw them a little bit in Jurassic Park 3. It's like, should they get more of the spotlight? Zora informs the survivors that she employed a rescue helicopter to circle the island in 24 hours. So again, we got the get to the chopper element of the Jurassic Park movie that we know so well. The team locates a Titanosaurus in the herd in a field and extracts a second sample. I would have liked to, they did show you, okay, look at this fucking long ass tail and the damage it could do, but I would have liked to see something that kind of nails it in, really sends it home, that this tail is like one of the deadliest things that you can encounter, because we got the awe, right? Look at the size of this fucking thing. But, the tail comes around, they duck, and it's like, oh, it's like, I would have liked to, and I don't know if it happened. Did someone get hit by the tail and go flying? It's possible. But I would have liked to see, like, no, I know you think this big creature is majestic and so lovable, but at the same time, like that tail it'll get you. So because the queso, as I'm going to call it, is a large and carnivorous animal, the team hopes to avoid issues by obtaining their final sample from an egg instead. If you remember from the trailer, the teasers, it was always like, well, it's an F-14 with wings. F-14? F-15. F-15 with wings, something like that, which is that's a great little bite. So Zora, Henry, and Leclerc repel to reach a nest located in an ancient temple on the side of the cliff. Did we really get anything from it being an ancient temple? I feel like there might have been something where they're like decoding the pictures or whatnot, and they're looking at the paintings and the drawings and saying, oh, wow. So like, ancient cultures, this is how they interacted with the dinosaurs or whatever. I don't know. I don't remember why they made that choice. All I know is like, if you really want to take this to the next level, they would have made more, they would have done more and had that scene be more on rappelling on the cliff. It would have been cliffside as opposed to they're in the cave, the ancient temple thing. It's like a Mission Impossible would have gone there. A Fast and the Furious would have gone there. They would have made it batshit crazy on that cliff as opposed to we're going to get to this thing and I don't know. So while they're in there, a parent queso returns to the nest and devours Leclerc. Oh, R.I.P. That was a tough one. Because you can see why. Because we get to spend a little bit more time with him and we get to see him having a personality, joking around, and we didn't get that with Atwater and Nina. Zora and Henry managed to escape with the sample. Elsewhere on the island, Reuben commends Xavier for rescuing Teresa. The family searches for the InGen complex and encounters various dinosaurs, including a Mutodon, a mutated raptor pterosaur hybrid. The real name of the Mutodon is the Velociraptor, a cross between Velociraptor and Pteranodon. So I'm just going to go with Mutodon. It sounds pretty cool. And an Ecolops, which Isabella, the daughter in the Delgado family, youngest, names Dolores. Is this the best scene? I'm going to go on and say if it's not 1A, it's 1B, or at least 2. So the family spots a raft. They're on one side of what appears to be a river, a pretty strong current, and then they have on the other side, they see a raft. And so the Teresa makes the journey over to get the raft and then discovers there is a very large Tyrannosaurus Rex that is awakening from its slumber. So this sequence is from the first novel, Jurassic Park, that was cut from the film adaptation in which characters inflate the life raft near a sleeping T-Rex. There's a reason why, and it makes sense. Michael Vickery, the VFX supervisor, said, "We've never done a swimming T-Rex on Jurassic before." He served as the VFX supervisor in Fallen Kingdom and Dominion. And I'm here to say, Michael Vickery, have you seen Prehistoric Planet on Apple TV? Because that docuseries, I guess you call it docuseries, is outstanding in terms of visual effects of dinosaurs. Now, granted, I like to pop an Eddie or two before watching it and turning it on. So that might influence my perception of the visual effects, but my God, it's like you're watching an actual fucking documentary, dude, like a nature documentary, a wildlife documentary. It feels like these are actual animals that you're watching in the wild, in nature. They exist and you can go and see them. Prehistoric Planet on Apple TV Plus. I don't understand how the folks who develop and produce, like the studio, Spielberg, all of them, don't just go to the Prehistoric Planet crew and be like, make a Jurassic Park movie. Make a Jurassic World movie. We'll back up the Brinks truck because you guys have friggin' nailed it. Because in Prehistoric Planet, they have a scene. I think it's I don't know if it's in the beginning of season 1 or season 2, but they show a T-Rex swimming. It looks perfect. No notes. Maybe I could reach out to this Vickery dude and be like, have you seen Prehistoric Planet? Can you just contact the VFX team for Prehistoric Planet and be like, you hired. Here's a blank check. I binged the first 2 seasons of Prehistoric Planet in 2022 and 2023. Season 3 will debut around Thanksgiving of this year, 2025. So I am very psyched. I cannot wait to watch it because it's simultaneously comforting and cozy. It makes me all warm and tingly and fuzzy inside, and also makes me absolutely scared out of my wits. Mission accomplished. And I honestly thought that someone that when they announced this movie, Jurassic World Rebirth, I was like, well, they have to be in contact with the people behind Prehistoric Planet. They have to be. They'd be foolish not to reach out to them, but here we are. I mean, the visual effects for this movie, it's the best of the Jurassic franchise. I don't think that's a hot take. I think, everyone agree like the visual effects were stunning in this. The best overall from start to finish of any Jurassic title in the series. I just think Prehistoric Planet goes one notch above. So that raft scene is the top scene of the year. If I were to do like a countdown, a ranking, a list of like, all right, from top to finish, best to worst, that's in my top 5 is that raft scene. What makes it somewhat infuriating, not infuriating, but a little frustrating is, and they did this in Dominion, and maybe they do this in every Jurassic movie, where it's just like, how is this dinosaur not just, I mean, it's right there. Just snatch and grab and go, dude. I know you got a meeting and you got to run, but like, they're right there. Why are you not attacking? But then I started to think about it, and I was like, well, the T-Rex is playing with them, right? I think that's the main takeaway, is that this T-Rex, when you were first introduced to Dr. Grant in Dominion, he sees these 2 like younger kids on their phones being like, who cares about dinosaurs? T-Rexes are from the 90s or something like that. And it's just like, you can see his pain, and he's going back to that scene from the first Jurassic Park where that little kid makes a comment about the raptor and he takes the talon to him. It's like I was expecting that to also happen in Dominion, and you can see like he didn't react that same way because they want to show that he's grown and he's not that same person and that he actually wants kids. In that scene, Dr. Grant is telling them, because the one girl says, T-Rex, don't they have like a really small brain? Like, meaning, aren't they stupid? And Dr. Grant was like, they're actually a lot smarter than we originally thought, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like stuck in my craw as I'm watching the raft scene, because I'm like, oh, this T-Rex, maybe T-Rex don't always hunt for hunger. They hunt for fun, some a la the Predator. It's like it doesn't always have to be to fill my belly. Sometimes it's just like to know that I can do this little cat and mouse thing. You're my laser. You're my catnip, and I'm going to play with you. And also knowing that it just woke up from a nap. And when do you usually nap? When you've had a big meal. So maybe it's like he's not really hungry. He's not looking to eat, but he is looking to like put a little damper on your day. So what a great scene. It's also like that raft. Holy shit, dude. It took a licking and it kept on ticking. I cannot believe that raft. That was like a little hard to suspend a disbelief. I'm like, wait a second. So this T-Rex that has these ultra strong jaws of life that can just 6 tons of pressure can't poke a hole in a raft. Come on, T-Rex, hit the gym. It was 2 parts. It was he's not really going all out, giving 110% to get these little snackaroos that he's chasing in the Delgado family. Muy caliente. Not really going full out and all out. There are plenty of times where like he could have, I mean, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm overestimating T-Rex, but I would think that like, I've seen you run, dude. I've seen you run after a Jeep. I've seen you haul ass, and you're like kind of slow playing it here. And I think that goes into the whole, they get off on this kind of stuff and they kind of want to really fully experience it and milk it for what it's worth. Really slow play it. So that makes sense. The fact that he probably had a large meal makes sense. And so I'm more willing to buy into that. But like not poking the raft. What? Like he's biting it. It's just not like, I would love to just invest. I'll just live on that raft. I don't give a fuck. But did anyone get hurt in that little interaction? And this is where, again, spitballing, but I've been devoting a lot of thought to it. Marvel went out on a limb after Disney purchased Fox and said, fuck it. Let's do an R-rated Deadpool movie. You know where I'm going with this. Aren't we at the point now where it's like, all right, if the younger generations really aren't eating this up, and my guess is they've already done this analysis and this breakdown, and they've seen like, no, we're going to lose a healthy chunk of the revenue. We're not going to do more than 800 million global if we go to R-rated. Like Deadpool is a lightning in a bottle. It's 1 in a million. The odds of that happening with a dinosaur movie, not high. But damn it, doesn't it feel like the opportunity is there for someone to come along and make an R-rated dinosaurs movie? And it probably will never happen in the Jurassic World, Jurassic Park franchise. But damn, dude, can you imagine how that could go? Because right now, it being PG-13, we're not seeing a ton of, like, we see little injuries, but it's like, oh, I bumped my elbow. It's like, oh, I scraped my knee. It's, it's stuff this is fucking life or death. And again, you want to talk about raising stakes. Someone gets their arm bit off. Someone gets, a laceration across the boss. They're like serious injuries where there are close calls, and it's not just like, oh, he almost bit my toe. It's like, no, he got your arm, and now your arm is dangling. How do we fix that? It's just not enough people would sign up for that to be profitable. But fuck, man, I feel like that's got to come at some point where it's like, let's just try it. We talk about keeping it fresh. We talk about keeping it exciting. In my opinion, Deadpool and Wolverine infused a jolt of energy and life into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Why not just roll the dice and say, we're going to have an R-rated Jurassic World and see these creatures really, not just hint at it and tease it and show blood in the water and like really just like gnarly stuff. Because even in that raft scene, I mean, again, the raft scene is so cool and so awesome. The way that they pulled it off and say, someone gets their hand taken off. Someone's like, broken bone. Like the dad, Ruben, gets hurt and he's like kind of limping. He's like, I can't make it. But then he's like walking and jogging towards the end of the movie. So it's like, could have just taken it a little bit further. I like to push it to the limit. So then we come to the complex, which is the InGen complex. The Delgado family reunites with the expedition group. When Teresa denounces Martin, he holds the others at gunpoint, steals the samples from Zora, and flees to the helipad alone by UTV. A pack of mutodons descend on the survivors who escape through the underground tunnels. The rescue helicopter arrives, but is destroyed by the Distortus Rex, which then devours Martin. That was cool. It gave me a similar feeling to like a Godzilla movie, a King Kong movie. Like, look at the sheer size of this thing and look how easily it took out this helicopter. I kind of debated with myself. I was like, man, they could have probably done more with the D-Rex. Because like the D-Rex, you saw it, you didn't really get to see it at the beginning, which that's fine. You just want to tease us. That's cool. I'm into that. But then we only get to see it for that big moment with the helicopter. So we got to see the D-Rex in action. We get to see the Mutodons in action. And those are really the only two mutated dinosaurs that we got to see. The Mosasaurus is not a mutation. Spinosaurus is not a mutation. T-Rex is not a mutation. So it's like, I really did think that going to this, that they should have just turned it to 11, crank that shit up, and just do all kinds of mutant dinosaurs running wild. That's one thing that Jurassic Park has never done yet. It's always like a one-on-one situation or like, I'm talking about like nonstop dinosaurs everywhere and trying to get through that. But I don't think we're at that point from a budget standpoint. I don't think it's, but my brain goes to pie in the sky type stuff where it's like this lab cranked out some real wacky looking dinos. And now they're fucking loose all over the island and causing pandemonium. And then you drop some humans into it. And it's like, watch the show. That wasn't necessarily the case here. But I would say, the Mosasaurus attack with the Spinosaurs was awesome. The D-Rex at the end, awesome. The Mutodons, pretty cool. I'm just saying, I guess I wanted more. Edwards talks about that. He's like, you want to leave people hungering for more. And so there is that hunger, but like, you can't go back to the mutant dinosaur thing again, can you? Like if they do, I can't see them not doing another Jurassic World after that. But wasn't Rebirth your chance to, and maybe that's what's coming down the pike, but it doesn't seem like it. It didn't seem like it at the end of Rebirth. It was just like, yeah, we're gonna keep this open source, and it's gonna be delivered to the world, and then everyone's gonna be cancer free, or not die from heart disease, and it's like very admirable, very cool, but like it didn't. How is it setting up the next installment? Unless they're just saying like, oh, that's it. First of all, it can't be it. That'd be not a wise move. But at the same time, like, you didn't set anything up for a sequel, which kind of stinks. I don't remember. If you're not going to go mutated dinosaurs in the second or third one, you missed a chance to really go all out in this one. I don't know if it was an alive raptor or was it a raptor that was like in a tomb or a glass display, but like that raptor that had two heads. So we got to see raptor with two heads, Mutodon, D-Rex. I just thought we'd get more. That's all. I thought we'd get more crazy looking creations. The Island of Dr. Moreau situation, where it's just like, holy crap, look at some of these fucking things. The survivors reach Lock Gate at the end of the tunnel. We see a boat on the other side. Isabella, the youngest daughter, and the Delgado family, small enough to fit through the gate, unlocks it, allowing the group to load onto the boat, while Duncan diverts the D-Rex using a flare. Zora, Henry, and Ruben, Teresa, Xavier, and Isabella escape. So you got the Delgado family escaping, along with Zora and Henry. Duncan was originally supposed to die in an earlier draft of the script, according to director Gareth Edwards, who revealed, quote, "It flipped back and forth a couple times. In the draft I first read, he died, and I thought, that's great. We started to pursue Mahershela, and for whatever reason, it felt like, well, if we're going to get Mahershela, we've got to keep him alive, right? But then Mahershela read it, and his only main note was, can we kill him? And I agree. So I joined Team Mahershela, and we both pushed to have him killed. The script changed back to him dying. Whilst they were shooting, the studio said, look, we haven't got time to do a pickup shoot or any reshoots, just to be safe, get some material just in case we need him to live. They showed that version, the version that we saw in the theater and we got, to a test audience, and the moment where the flare appears, revealing that Duncan lived, got a massive applause, and Gareth Edwards, the director, revealed he felt a little tear welling in his eye. So that was, I did like that moment a lot. And I'm glad that, we didn't lose him. So, and maybe that's something you explore in the third one to tie everything up, is like he actually does get killed or something like that, sacrifices himself. But it's like, I want to see more of this character, dude. You're going to tell me that the character that I like probably the most in this movie, you're going to kill him off. So Duncan rejoins the team after the D-Rex retreats. Again, why did the D-Rex retreat? Is it scared of water? Why isn't it going to go in the water? It feels like it could just go in the water and dine, but I guess it's more of a territorial thing. Like, okay, this is you do not cross this line. And now you guys are outside my territory. Enjoy the sights and the scenes. With the samples in hand, Zora and Henry agree to distribute new medication without a patent, making it open source for the entire planet. The final scene, in which dolphins swim alongside the raft, is reminiscent of the final scene in Jurassic Park, in which Dr. Alan Grant watches a flock of birds through the window of the helicopter. The age of dinosaurs is ending. The age of mammals returns. I did like that the storyline goes back to basics with an island setting where the dinosaurs roam more like real animals than monsters, creating an immersive ecosystem feel. I do know, watching the extended version of Dominion, it's like, where are we? First of all, there's so many location changes. It's like, I don't even know where the fuck we are right now. It was almost like trying to go the route of a political espionage thriller, similar to like a Mission Impossible, but more about like spies and global espionage and stuff like that. And it's just like, dude, dinosaurs. Dinosaurs. It's like, well, we have an agent, a secret agent that's on the inside. This guy's working for an intelligence agency, and there's a deal about to go down, and blah, blah, blah. And it's, the extended version has, obviously more scenes, 6 to 7 more scenes, 11 more scenes. And it's to provide context, but it's like, people don't give a shit about that. People don't give a shit about the locusts. Your goal is to make the threat of dinosaurs. It's hard to fathom why they went down that road. It's just like, and there's a human clone, and then we're gonna extract the human clone, but we also need this other dinosaur's clone, and we're gonna figure out how to take that and put in the locusts so they stop. But why were the locusts designed in the first place? To end famine, but now they're gonna create famine. It's just like dinosaurs. Fucking dinosaurs, okay? The only reason you should be talking about DNA and genetics is when it relates to dinosaurs. Critics and fans note that the plot is thin and somewhat formulaic. Yeah, I mean, like I said, when you have a formula that has worked, you kind of have to stick to it a little bit. Although, is Prey formulaic? I hate to go back to Prey, but Prey feels like it's Predator, but it's something that we have not seen in the Predator universe. And it was so different, but yet still satiated the formulaic Predator stuff that we like so much. So now do that for Jurassic World. How do you do Prey for Jurassic World? So the Jurassic World Rebirth crew did not have time to make heavy usage of animatronics. I am a big fan of the animatronics. I think it just looks more real. And Industrial Light and Magic had only 6 weeks to finalize the dinosaur designs for Rebirth as a result of the truncated pre-production, which is nuts. 6 weeks is nuts. They produced over 1,500 visual effects shots, the most of any film in the Jurassic series. Is there raptor fatigue? Is there T-Rex fatigue? I don't know. Were people super amped and happy about the Blue subplot in Dominion? Where it's like Blue somehow had this baby raptor through whatever named Beta. Like that just felt like, I remember the first time I saw it, I scoffed. I was just like, what the fuck? Chris Pratt is just like, has some kind of emotional connection and bond with these fucking raptors. And he's able to train them in a way that, I don't know. That was so far-fetched that it was like, I just didn't buy into that. And then they continue to do it. And it's like, even in Dominion, it's like having these moments where they're having these stare-offs. And it's just like, I just don't care about this shit. I mean, it was cool the way Jurassic World ended. But like that should have been, I feel like that should have been the send-off. Like you don't need to bring any of that back. It's just like, let them, okay, they're free now. They can go and whatever. It's like, we brought Blue back. Why? Because I guess there was a testing amongst kids. They were like, what happened to Blue? Where's Blue? I don't know. Edwards chose not to include feathered dinosaurs because he thought they looked like big chickens and weren't all that scary, according to David Vickery, who's ILM's visual effects supervisor. I'm here to tell you, man, that Therizinosaurus, whatever thing with the long-ass claws and the feathers, like that, to me, is an opportunity for people who are maybe not as well-versed as the paleontologists and as the doctors and scientists, normal everyday people, to make a comment like that stupid thing with the feathers, and then the feathered dinosaur fucks shit up. And you're like, there's something cool about looking at an animal or creature. I mean, it happened in Jurassic Park, the first one, where Dennis is trying to get off the island or deliver the Barbasol can at the dock, and he gets lost, and he runs into the Dilapidsaurus thing that spits venom. And he's like, well, aren't you cute? And it's like, you underestimate this dinosaur, and then it tears you apart. Like, I think that was a staple amongst a bunch of the Jurassic Park movies that I liked a lot. Like a person underestimating a dinosaur and getting their ass handed to them. And they introduced the Tyrannosaurus into Dominion, and I guess maybe that got negative feedback. Not from me. Those claws are so fucking long, dude. They look so cool, and they look, you just get dread looking at them. Like they're intimidating as hell. And then to pair that with the feathers, and it's like, look, this is a big chicken with massive claws. What the hell? So I guess I would have liked to have them explore the what the fuck factor a little bit more in this movie. Like really go bizarro land and world with the mutants. And I feel like they only kind of scratched the surface. They didn't really tap into that. So I disagree with him on the feathered thing. I totally disagree with you. According to Rotten Tomatoes, 51% of all critics gave it a fresh review, while 44% of top critics gave it a fresh review. The critics' consensus is Going back to basics with rip-roaring set pieces and fossilized cliches, Jurassic World Rebirth doesn't evolve this prehistoric franchise, but does restore some of its most reliable DNA. Agreed. Hard to see where they go from here, but it's almost a guarantee that they learn their lesson and just gloss over all the cool shit. Bill Bria of The Wrap wrote, quote, Jurassic has to live with setting a high bar, of course. The original film revolutionized the industry, a status that Rebirth is all too aware of, as seen in its meta theme of dinosaurs becoming old news to a jaded populace. Yet just because cheeseburgers are now available anywhere doesn't mean that they can't be damn tasty. Jurassic Park Rebirth is just a well-made cheeseburger, and whether that's filling and interesting enough is up to your own appetite. So I do like that analogy and metaphor a lot. Sharks, dude. Sharks are everywhere. Are people over sharks? No. You just got to find a way to tap into that fear and tap into that emotion that you first had when you first saw it. You got to tap into it, dude. Tap it. Tap that ass. 64% of all audience members gave it a fresh rating with an average rating of 3.6 out of 5. 71% of verified users give it a higher rating, 3.8 out of 5. I gave it a 6 out of 10 on IMDb. So, yeah, you're looking at a 3 out of 5 if I didn't do the points, but I do points. So it's like clinging to fresh, in my opinion. Clinging right at the 3.5 out of 5. Better than Dominion, like I kept saying, but the audience says equal parts comforting and terrifying. Returning to the beloved Jurassic World is a thrill, and while predictable, Rebirth jumpstarts the franchise with a dynamite time at the movies. I still had a good time. Will this be better than the Jurassic World trilogies, the first trilogy, not the Jurassic Park trilogy? I think they could learn a lot from what happened in Fallen Kingdom and Dominion. You would think they would learn a lot. And so where do you go from here? Tough to say. A lot of parallels to the first Jurassic Park. So is it going to be a situation again where, I mean, like, you can't do, well, where do you go from here? Yeah, that's the challenge. But that's a good challenge to have because, like, they haven't really, the possibilities are still there. It's still there for you. It's not like the story is over, I don't think. But it's a matter of, mutant dinosaurs. How are you going to top that? You did it. You could have really blown it out, kind of tempered it a bit. Where do you go from here? That's the big Q. And I don't have the A right now, but I do know I've been talking for too long. And I got to go to bed. I got to get to work on Jurassic World Rebirth too. I mean, what do you call the second one? Jurassic World Resurgence? No. It's too long. We'll get together and brainstorm. Tomorrow at 10 work for you? So that's the episode. That's it for this ep. As far as next episodes, I mentioned doing a review of Superman, a review of Fantastic Four First Steps. I have my fantasy football draft weekend out in Lake Harmony, PA. I'm going to be making brunch, a casserole, breakfast casserole for brunch. That'll be interesting. Don't have a casserole dish. And then we have do a season preview, a preview of the upcoming New York Giants 2025 NFL season. And then the Metros. Holy shit. Whoa, dude. We have been just raw sewage. Just raw sewage. Stinky, stinky. But that's it for now. I'll talk to you next time. Thanks for listening. And also, thank you for watching. Adios, muchachos.